We are thrilled to have with us today a powerhouse in the field of real estate, the founder of Hariani Co, Mr. Ameet Hariani.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
In your perspective, what is the real value of being a solicitor today?
I don't think it's so important to pass the exam. It's important to attempt it. No one is going to ask you, did you pass your solicitors? You have to do it and have that confidence in yourself.
I want to know that after all that you have accomplished in your career, what keeps you motivated?
The whole thing is pivot according to the change in circumstances, but keep walking.
Founding your own law firm is a remarkable milestone and is a dream for many. And what were some of the challenges or obstacles that you faced in your journey?
How do you organize a firm? How do you get people? How do you retain them? All these were challenges. So I think we succeeded because of some of the following reasons.
Hello, and welcome to GLC Law and Lore, a podcast where we sit with legal luminaries from the prestigious Government Law College and shine a light on their journeys, getting to know more about them as people beyond the bands and guns. We are thrilled to have with us today the founder of Hariani Co, Mr. Ameet Hariani. Mr. Hariani is a senior solicitor and a powerhouse in the field of real estate, both transactional and litigation. He advises top organizations, sits on the board of several reputed companies, and acts as a mediator and arbitrator, resolving disputes not only within India but also internationally. If that's not already impressive, he's co-authored a book on real estate law and is a passionate speaker on legal and motivational topics. But what many people might not know about him is that he's an avid cyclist, a swimmer, and is a proud grandfather of 3 grandchildren whom he loves spending his time with. Team GLC Law and Lore extends a warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Starting with the first segment of our episode, sir, I would like to take you a trip down the memory lane when Ameet Hariani was just a fresh graduate looking to join a law school. So, what inspired you to pursue a career in law? Did you always know that this was the right path, or was there a particular moment that solidified your decision?
See, both my parents were lawyers. My dad was a solicitor and my mother was a counsel who argued in court, right? So in those days, having a lady arguing counsel was very, very rare.
Right.
But that didn't make me want to only do law. I experimented. I tried my CA. I did my CA entrance. I did my cost and works accountancy while doing my BCom. I did actuarial science in my BCom.
Oh,
And I also tried or considered doing computers. That was a new field in those days. So I said, why don't I go into computers? And my parents never said, oh, you just have to do law.
right.
But then what happened was in the third year of my BCom, I, as an experiment, went and interned at a law firm,
Oh,
right? And I was in the litigation. I was assigned into the litigation department. And I worked on a matter in the High Court. It was a very well-known litigation of those days called Om Prakash Barlia versus Unit Trust of India.
right.
And what it dealt with was the conversion of debentures into equity shares and whether financial institutions could do that or not. And really, that was the turning point. I got hooked. And really, what it taught me was that a good internship or a good experience in an internship can really help you decide what you want to do. As a student, that's very important.
So, sir, reflecting at your time at Government Law College, what were some of the most memorable experiences or achievements that you've had, and how did those help in shaping you become a lawyer that you are today?
Uh, See, Government Law College has a great, great history. So when you go through the portals of a college, you remember you have Baba Sahib Ambedkar, you have Nani Palkhiwala, you have Fali Nariman, you have a whole host of Supreme Court judges, High Court judges who are alumni from that institution. So it inspires you basically, and you realize that, look, really it's an ordinary looking college, it's an ordinary looking building.
Right.
So what's so special about it? And then you realize the value of the human spirit. Yeah.
Right.
That's key. So that was one thing. It inspired me, actually. The second thing is we had a very good faculty.
Right.
We had Dr. Vadegaonkar, who was our principal, and he was visually impaired, actually.
Okay.
And he had overcome his lack of seeing through his various abilities. We also had Mr. Rafiq Dada.
Right.
He was our lecturer in those days. And he was an excellent lecturer, and he's an excellent human being. I don't know if you know him, but really, really good person.
Okay.
He was there. And then we had Parimala Rao, who had just joined as a lecturer in those days. And she landed up being the principal of the Government Law College subsequently. So we had a good set of people. There was also emphasis on extracurricular activities. So what that meant was, whether it's sports or mooting or whatever, they encouraged it.
Okay.
And then slowly, as I told you earlier, I got hooked into law, and I realized that I was good at it. So I was enjoying it. Yeah, but more than the law, I was enjoying the mooting.
Right, sir.
And in addition to that, you have a whole host of things that happen around you, which really help the whole experience.
Right, sir. And we also know that you were part of the pioneering team from Government Law College along with Mr. Daras Kambata that participated in the Jessup Moot Court Competition. So what we want to know is, from speaking from personal experience, many students know the feeling of coming close to victory but falling short. How do you think that one can convert these almost wins into a victory, both in competition and in life?
I'm going to break up your question into two parts.
Right.
One is the experience and friendships at government law, and second is the Jessup experience. Yeah. So coming to the law college itself, you are growing up, you are making friends, and these friendships last your whole life, actually. So in addition to Darais Khambata, we had Iraj Kotwal, we had Tushar Cooper, we had
Oh.
Amit Desai,
Okay.
all people who were in and around our batches.
Right.
Yeah. So they were lifelong friendships. Amjad Sayyad, who became a judge and then Chief Justice, Gautam Patel, who was Bombay High Court judge, they were all our friends.
Okay.
So, but of course, when your friends become judges, you can't really be in touch with them. But, you are lifelong friends in a sense.
Right.
And one of the most important friendships that I found at that time was I met my wife, Madhvi, in Government Law College. So we met in the first year of law. And I think it was quite clear to me that she was going to be my wife. She was my soulmate in a sense. So we got engaged in the third year of law and got married after law college.
Okay.
So, and luckily that's sustained all these years. So that's one. The second thing was about the Jessup experience. On Jessup, see, it was 1983. And Darais was my partner. There was an elimination in the college where we both qualified. And then we had eliminations all over India. So we traveled the length and breadth of India. And during that length and breadth of India, we met lots and lots of people. Say, for example, Satish Maneshinde, he was from Karnataka in those days. Then we had Sandeep Berry from Delhi. We had Justice Murlidhar, who then became a judge. So all these people became friends.
Okay.
But we succeeded in those eliminations. And once we succeeded in these eliminations, we got the problem, which we had to argue. And that problem was I think, on the international law of the sea. We had virtually no material in Bombay. We had to go to the British Council library. We had to go to the American Council library. And what we found is that there were some books on international law, but very little on the law of the sea. So what did we do? We had to go to booksellers and get them to import those books.
Okay.
We had to ask our parents' friends, both in the UK and the USA, to send some material. There was no internet.
Right.
Yeah. So we were struggling, and that had happened in the past with earlier teams. I think we were the second or the third team to go from GLC to Jessup. And everyone had done middlingly. Okay. So no one was expecting anything. It was like, oh, now you all have been selected. Go and have a blast. Go and have a party in
Right.
Washington. But we persevered. What we did was we worked. No one expected us to be able to do anything
Right.
except us. We were hardworking, we were determined. And when we went there, we had to, of course, give our memorial. We had our oral rounds. We did well in the memorial, but we did even better in the oral rounds.
Okay.
And we stood fifth.
Wow.
Yeah. What that meant was that the bar of low expectations from any Indian team had gone. And now we were right there. For the future, everyone thought that now we can win. And I think a lot of people from India have done extremely well in Jessup.
Right.
And remember, that was 1983.
Oh my God.
That was 83 and the World Cup.
Yes.
You remember Kapil Dev?
Right.
Yeah?
Right.
So that was the time India came into its own.
Right.
Yeah? And we were part of that movement in a sense.
I was just about to say that how parallel this story is to the 1983 World Cup story. And also, what I can gather from your experience is that networking has played a huge role while your time at the government law college. And this is something that a lot of people take for granted. We do not think that way, that people that we are meeting today are going to be partners and judges and senior advocates in future. So this is one thing that I take back from your experience, that networking is something every person while his time in college needs to focus on.
Rather than networking, you are growing up, you are making friends.
Right.
You have shared experiences. So it's not intended to be networking. It just happens.
Right.
It's a very natural process.
Just having fun.
Yeah, we are having fun. And in that, you have many experiences.
Right, sir. Now, sir, moving on to the next chapter in your life, you are also a senior solicitor. Having cleared one of the toughest law exams in this country, we would like to know what was your preparation process like, and what are some of the habits that you inculcated in that time that has stayed with you throughout your life?
So the solicitor's exam, it takes up a lot of time of preparation. First of all, you are working, you're doing your articles, and you're also then giving the exam. So first I'll deal with the articleship and then the exams.
Yes.
In the articleship, again, if you are rotating in different departments, you realize what you like and what you don't like, what you are good at, what you are not good at.
Right.
That's very important when you are a student, to realize your strengths and your not so what you don't like. Yeah. And you should only do what you like. That's one. You also make friends during your articleships, and they remain with you. The third thing is, during the exams, you realize how little you know, because you are then faced with a huge number of acts which you have never studied in law school. So you realize how dumb you are, in a sense.
Right.
Okay? And the solicitor's exam is also a very practical oriented exam. So you are asked questions on current topics, on current judgments, on matters which are really pending in court, problems that you are facing during your senior may be facing a problem, he'll put that in the paper. Yeah, how do you deal with it?
Right.
And there is no real one answer to the question. It's like a Lego piece.
Right.
You have to assemble it the way you think. So you can make it into an aeroplane, you can make it into a rocket, you can make it into a train. Yeah? There's no one answer. So that's the fun of it. And when you are doing your articles, you also interact with clients. You realize how clients approach life.
Right.
That's really important.
Right, sir. So there is a perception among young lawyers these days that the solicitor's exam has lost its value. In your perspective, what is the real value of being a solicitor today and how can it impact your legal career?
See, the solicitor's uh, exam is not that important any longer. That's a fact. And the reason why it's not so important is because you are investing a whole host of number of months, 6 months into it. The second thing is the passing percentage is low, so that demotivates you. The third thing is that does it really count? It's not really required, legally not required as a qualification.
Right.
And the only thing that is relevant in a sense is does it help you get a better job or does it get you in the door first? So let's look at all the negatives versus the positives. What are the positives? The positives are that you learn a lot. You know, it's like going to American university and they throw you a case study and then you are supposed to analyze it and do whatever you require to do. The solicitor's exam is like that. It's practical in terms of your articles. Also, your questions are practical. So it's a great opportunity to understand the whole law. The second thing is you are in a firm. You have signed articles in a firm. So there is a better chance of their absorbing you into the firm, even if you were to attempt it. I don't think it's so important to pass the exam. I think it's important to attempt it because then at least you are aware of things. Yeah. And passing is irrelevant, actually. You
Right.
know, no one is going to ask you, did you pass your solicitors or did you fail in your solicitors? Does anyone ask Dhirubhai Ambani what he did? No.
No.
You have to do it and have that confidence in yourself
Right.
that you will learn from it. So I do think it's useful if someone comes to me who has attempted the solicitors and someone has not attempted, I would prefer someone who has attempted the solicitors.
Right, sir. While you're widely recognized as a leader in the real estate law, what many people do not know is that you actually started your practice doing general commercial law. So we want to know that what motivated this transition.
So, as I told you earlier, I actually started as a litigation lawyer and I continued that till the end. So, uh, to give you some names of the matters we did in litigation, we did in the 80s, we did a matter called Carbon Corporation Limited. Sorry, early 90s. We did a matter called Carbon Corporation Limited, which was the first takeover pre-SEBI.
Okay.
And we succeeded in that takeover. Then was followed by the dispute in Patel Engineering, where two brothers were fighting for control of the company. Then we did the Vijay Mallya matter against Chabaria for control of McDowell's.
Right.
Then we represented the government of Maharashtra in the Dabhol power plant dispute. Then we represented K. Raheja Corp in the dispute with Mr. Nasli Wadia. So all these were major matters. In addition, of course, the litigation teams were doing other matters. But from there, the transition into real estate was very interesting. See, we got litigation matters, and those matters were of some real estate companies. So those real estate companies said, oh, why don't you do our transactions? So I said, sure. So you have to learn the law. Yeah. And the good thing is we learned the law because we also knew the problems that are there in the real estate field because of the litigation matters. So then we could concentrate on that. And also we had an office in Pune. Real estate in those days was booming.
Right.
So as Pune grew, our real estate matters grew. And I used to work Monday to Thursday in Bombay. Friday used to go in the morning to Pune and work till Sunday in Pune. So, it was a gradual transition that happened. And we were fortunate that we were there at that time, and we did the maximum that we could. So we had clients like K. Raheja. We had clients like Panshield. We had clients like Godrej, Vascon, HDFC, and a whole host of banks as our real estate clients. So it was good fun.
Now, moving on to the next chapter in your life. Founding your own law firm is a remarkable milestone and is a dream for many. So, we want to know that what motivated you to make this transition from being a partner in a firm to starting your own law firm, and what were some of the challenges or obstacles that you faced in your journey?
So there was no intention to start a law firm. Let me make that clear. It happened. For personal reasons, I was well settled in a law firm. I was a partner there, but for personal reasons, I made the transition and we set up Hariani Company. So when we set up Hariani Company, how old was I? I was 30 years old. Okay. So why would anyone trust a 30-year-old with their matters?
Right.
Yeah, that was one of the challenges. That's an obvious challenge. I knew the law. I was confident that I knew at least bits of the law that I was practicing, that I had learned. But how do you organize systems? How do you organize a firm? How do you get people? How do you retain them? All these were challenges. And of course, the main challenge was how to get clients, how to retain them, how to deal with them. It just happened because of certain systems that we learned on the job. And the challenges or the opportunities that I found were that as you grow, there is much more time spent in managing the firm than in doing law.
Right.
Managing people, managing clients, managing your own people. So a lot of time goes into management. The second thing is we had to devise systems whereby we retain people and at the same time motivated them and at the same time did not make it a cutthroat place. And I think that was one of the things that we succeeded in doing. I'll tell you maybe in detail later if the time arises separately about the systems that we actually implement.
Okay.
And the good thing was we were fortunate, we were hardworking, and the firm succeeded.
Could you list some of these practices that you were talking about?
Sure. So how did we succeed? That's what you're asking.
Yes.
So I think we succeeded because of some of the following reasons. Number one, I like people. I like to talk to them. I'm interested in people. So you have to be interested in people to retain people
Right.
in the firm. You have to be interested in people to retain clients. Yeah. So you have to learn how to do that. And that's a whole system in itself. You have to empathize with people, whether they are your own people or they are your clients.
Okay.
Clients are interested in results. They are not interested in esoteric law.
Right.
You use that esoteric law, but give me results. Yeah. So when you concentrate on results, then clients are happy. And that's one thing we did, that we just concentrate on results. You put your head down, work, don't look around, don't look at what other firms are doing. Just concentrate on what you are doing the best you can do.
Okay.
We also made sure that our people were motivated. One of the things we did, we believed we were one firm. That was one fundamental thing. So when you believe you are one firm, you are one family, you have to do the best for everyone in the family. So even if you are four offices, you are so many teams,
Right.
but you are one family. You have to have each other's backs. In addition to that, you have to motivate people. We never had any financial targets for people.
Okay.
That was a no-no. I had learned what I didn't want. I had experienced it elsewhere, and I said, that's not the way we want to go. So we never had financial targets, but how do you motivate people then? We had a homegrown system which made sure that while there is no competition amongst the people, there is a motivation to perform.
Okay.
So that worked. And we never looked at listings. We never looked at awards. That's really not the focus of a law firm.
Right.
It happens as a side effect. That's okay. But don't go after it. We never had a business development team.
Oh.
We had people, one of the best ways we got clients was through word of mouth. Or when some people were sort of on the other side in a matter, and when that matter got over, they came to us and said, oh, can you represent us?
Oh, wow.
So I thought that that's the way to go, and we went and did that.
So my key takeaway from this would be to care about the people who are working for you, to not compare yourself with other firms, and to produce results for your clients, and to know what they are expecting out of you would be one of the defining factors that distinguished you from the rest of the firms, or what led to success of your firm.
I would agree with you, yes.
Right, sir. Moving to the last question of this segment, I want to know that after all that you have accomplished in your career, what keeps you motivated? Are there any future endeavors or personal goals that you're looking forward to?
Uh, Absolutely. What I'm now doing is really a derivation of what I love to do, which is law. What I'm doing is I'm acting as an arbitrator and a mediator. And earlier I used to act on behalf of clients in an arbitration. Now I'm the arbitrator or the mediator. The second thing that I do is my old clients, my new clients, my old partners, other firms, they keep coming to me for advice on either transactions or on litigation, and that strategic advice is what I give. The third thing that I do is I'm an independent non-executive director on certain companies where I trust the management. So these are the three sets of activities I do. And in addition, with the time that I have liberated for myself, I follow my passions, my hobbies. Uh, I have more time with Madhvi. I'm learning bridge. I love to travel, so I keep on traveling. I devote time to certain NGOs.
Right.
So really what the whole thing is, and this is what I believe, that, pivot according to the change in circumstances, but keep walking.
Right.
And that's what I'm doing.
That was indeed insightful, sir. Moving on to the next segment of this episode, I would like to get your take or your view on certain legal contemporary issues. Starting with the first one, Mumbai is experiencing a significant redevelopment wave, with many older buildings being demolished now and reconstructed. For homeowners in these aging societies considering the redevelopment proposal, what are the most critical legal safeguards residents should insist on redevelopment agreements? And specifically, how should they protect themselves against developers' default, quality issues, or timeline extensions?
You're absolutely right. You know, Mumbai as a city is changing. You can just see the skyline and you wonder where you are. You
Right.
know, it's completely changed, and it's going to change even more. Everywhere you go, you hear talks, oh, my society is going to go into redevelopment. So what does that mean for an individual? What it means for an individual is okay, I'm going to move out from my current building. Am I going to get my new flat on time? How much extra area am I going to get?
Right.
Am I going to be safeguarded in the meantime, in the sense that will enough money be available to me? Will it be available to me on time? Is the quality of the new flat going to be good? What are my neighbors going to be? Who are my neighbors? The free sale guys. Who are they?
Right.
And so on and so forth. That's a very natural consequence of what you are going to be doing. It's almost like a surgical operation that you are going to go through. So in a surgical operation, who do you need? You need a good GP who's on your side.
Right.
You need a good surgeon. You need a good anesthetist. And you need a good hospital. Similarly, in a redevelopment, you need a good PMC, you need a good architect, you need a good lawyer, and you need a good developer, right? If you look at that analogy, then the way to go forward is quite clear. You must go with a good builder with a good reputation and who has deep pockets, so that if there is any delay, it should be backed up with a bank guarantee.
Right.
The second thing is that you must have a good architect, a good PMC, and a good lawyer, because the tender process must be completely clear. It's very easy to make allegations against any managing committee. So please be absolutely transparent in the whole development process. Have a robust tendering process. And the third thing to do is make sure that your redevelopment agreement, your permanent alternative accommodation agreement, they are robust, they are comprehensive. Because remember, the new people who come into a redevelopment project are protected by RERA. But the existing members and the society, is it protected under RERA or not, is still being debated in court. Right? So you better have a comprehensive agreement. So that's my advice to any redevelopment person.
Thank you so much, sir. And moving on to the second question. Since you serve as a director for several companies, what are some unexpected insights that this role has given you about corporate decision making and risk management? Did your perspective on these challenges shift after taking on directorship roles?
The answer is yes, it has. Because you realize, as a lawyer, what are you interested in? You are interested in the law and winning in court. Yeah. And if you have won in court, what do you want the client to do? You want your fees and you want a party.
Right.
Yeah. That's what you're going to ask for. At least I used to ask for. And as a corporate lawyer, as a person who looks at it from a client's perspective, what are you looking at? You are not really interested in the nuances of the law. You are interested in the results. You are interested in whether there can be appealed or there can't be an appeal, and if so, how much time will go into that appeal and how much money will go into that appeal.
Right.
You are interested in saying, is it over and done with or not? Also, one of the most important things is it material enough? In a company, materiality is very important. How important is it from the larger perspective? So you get a perspective of things which is quite different from a lawyer's perspective. And of course, if you are a listed company, disclosures, etc. have to be done. So what disclosures need to be done, etc. So corporate decision making is quite different from a lawyer's perspective or decision.
Right.
The other part that you asked me, what about risk management? Risk management is a interesting question because it's happened just one of the factors that I can think of has happened just recently President Trump and Liberation Day and the tariffs. Okay. So let's just first of all look back on what impacts a company. There are a whole host of risks which is based on an industry. And it's not only based on that industry, it's based on the company, on your company, where it fits into that industry. So in that whole matrix of risks that you are looking at, one of the risks that you could look at is political risk. Yeah? Geopolitical risks, as we call it. And what has happened a few days ago is clearly one of the consequences of the geopolitical risk.
Right.
So how do we decide what is important? Say you are in an industry which is a real estate company. So you're in the real estate industry. Really, these tariffs don't really touch you, okay? Either in real estate or infrastructure. The second thing is, if you are in pharma, at this point in time today as we speak, it's not clear how it's going to affect the pharma industry.
Right.
The third is, let's take the gem and jewelry industry. It's clearly going to get affected. So it depends on which industry you are in. The risk has to be assessed every 3 or 6 months. And this is just one example that I'm giving. So at every board meeting or risk management committee meeting, you think of how the company is going to survive, how it's going to be sustainable for the next 10 years, 20 years. You know, that's the key thing that you look at, which normally lawyers don't even bother about. How does it matter to a lawyer?
Yeah.
But it does matter. And let me ask you one question. AI. We have Gen AI now. We've got Chat GPT, Grok, etc., etc. How is it going to affect the legal industry? If you are the managing partner of a firm, I'm grappling with it. I'm thinking about it, learning about it. How is it going to affect a legal firm?
I believe, like, as far as I've thought about it, the maximum it does is take away the job of an intern or a ground level associate whose job is to, give the basic first draft to you, do groundwork research on what all possibilities and what all angles that can be looked at. And then majorly it will be then more easier for the managing partner to be using these tools to, get a holistic view of what all angles can be looked at, and when it comes to drafting, to get a base draft from which you can build on.
You're right. But also from a managing partner's view, what happens to salaries?
Right.
What happens to people? What happens to jobs? You know, these are very interesting things. And what happens to productivity? Productivity, you could even look at it like this, that if your intern can produce this through AI,
Right.
then can't the intern act as an associate? And can't the associate act as a principal associate?
Right.
And can't the principal associate act as a partner? And can I not reduce my costs? You know, there are so many things that you can look at. And it's really going to be an interesting time. And this is really what risk management is about.
Understood. Right, sir. So that was indeed quite insightful. Now, moving on to a lighter note, let's go and start with a rapid fire round. The idea is to say the first word that comes right on top of your head. Are you ready?
Ready.
One book that changed the way you view law or life.
I'm reading this book right now, so I would say The Courage to be Disliked.
Okay.
It's a very interesting book which says what philosophy should you follow in life. And you should have, it's a Japanese philosophy. And it's really interesting. You don't have to accept all of it, but you can pick up some good things out of it.
Right, sir. A skill from another profession you wish you had.
I wish I had known decision making and what is relevant earlier. many times I've been very, very enthusiastic about things and then realize that, oh, this is not so important to be so
Right.
worried about.
How would your best friend describe you in 3 words?
Many of my friends have told me, you were born when you were 60 years old, and now you are growing younger. And that's largely because of my marriage to Madhuri.
Right, right. If not law, what career would you have chosen?
I would have liked to actually get into computers, thinking back,
Okay.
because that would have really been a wide open field. And, it could have been an Infosys or a HCL Tech or whatever
Hmm.
that I could have founded.
One legal myth that you'd like to bust?
People think that if you are the son or daughter of a well-known lawyer, you are bound to succeed. Our profession is not like that.
Right.
Our profession is based on results. It's based on ability. It's based on delivery. So this is for all the youngsters.
Okay, sir. If you could trademark a phrase you often say, what would it be?
Uh, I think everyone knows that. Tell me the conclusion and give me the result.
Ha. Right, sir. What is the most memorable courtroom moment that you've had, good or bad?
A client, after a judgment was delivered, the client succeeded and he came out of the courtroom and he hugged me and said, "Thank you." And I thought that really made
Right.
my day.
Right, sir. What is your most valued possession?
My memories, my relationships.
Right, sir. What is your favorite travel destination?
Uh, I love to go everywhere. I like to try out different places. We just went to Ooty last week,
Yes, sir.
and 2 weeks from now we are going to Budapest and Prague.
Oh,
So anything. It's fun to go with friends.
last question. What does your ideal Sunday look like?
My ideal Sunday with a family, with kids, with grandkids, and having a ball.
Thank you, sir. That was indeed rapid. As we come to the end of our episode, what is that one piece of advice that you'd like to give to all the budding law enthusiasts out there?
It would be this.
Hmm.
Be positive. You'll succeed. Be assured you'll succeed, and you will. That's the basic thing that I'd like to say. And even if an obstacle comes in your way, adjust to that obstacle, but keep walking.
Thank you so much, sir. I hope it was as interesting it was for you as it was insightful for us.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for watching. This is Jinay Jain from GLC Law and Lore signing off.